Really? Just yesterday?
Just yesterday. A lot of people have a lot of questions. A lot of people angry, a lot of people sad, a lot of people hungry. But I know the one person that has all the answers.
All of them.
When it comes to the Sacramento Kings basketball team. Joining us right now in his kitchen. Did I just see a fridge? Sam, good morning, Sam.
Good morning. Sam is going to stubbornly finish making coffee while we chat here because the caffeine is necessary.
Keurig or regular? What is the method of coffee, Sam? Just because I know that's what people want to hear.
It's Keurig. Yeah, it's good old Keurig with the. Wow. Jay would be proud of me. It's Singers Up Sac State mug is the location for the coffee.
Sam hates the environment. Okay,
wow. But I love the sweatshirt.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that an OPG folder sweatshirt?
Yes.
Yo, that's the best thing I'm going to see all day, dude. That's sick. Well, and if you guys could see it too, if you were listening or watching on YouTube with the rest of the chatters. Sam, what's going to happen with the team? Why are they losing, and what's the solution? Go.
Fix it.
It's like Jason said, it was just one or two plays last night.
Yeah, they got that.
Yeah, it's ugly. I was uninspired again and left early last evening. I don't know, man. It's really bad. It's my thing is, and I know we're going to talk about, Doug's press conferences and messaging and the vibe around the team. It's just they've got to. I don't know. It's easier said than done, but you got to accept that this is just. It's not a great team. It's a time of transition, and we knew that going in, but everybody's acting like this is breaking news. I don't see this group figuring it out. I just don't. It's more about, where do they go from here, and what does the roster look like after the deadline?
Yeah, I kind of want it because I think Dave said it perfectly earlier. Like the most interesting thing, if we're talking about interesting about the team, has kind of been Doug, and I hope for his own sanity. He can handle the predicament he's in, the organization's in, the team is in. And Sam, he's a competitor. I get all that. He's passionate. He wants this group to win. And by the looks of it, they can't. And so until they get to that next step, while Doug's trying to get every win possible, I just hope, this is his first run at this. And the first, when he was coaching before, he actually had a decent amount of wins on his resume. Sure. Now it's going through this on a day-to-day basis. This looks like it's really wearing on him, and I don't know how he can kind of keep it all together.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't mean to do the media Monday morning quarterback thing and act like it's not like it's easy, but I do agree with you that he is drawing at least locally, it's not national yet, but man, he's drawing an exceptional amount of attention to the struggles and acting like they are, I put it to, maybe Dave or somebody yesterday, acting like, this is a team that had great expectations that is wildly underperforming, and that he's got it's almost like Steve Kerr-esque, like the Warriors had real expectations. And when they get off the tracks early, a coach like Steve, who obviously has got a different coaching resume, is sounding the alarms, and Draymond and guys like that. That's not what this Kings team is. That's not what they were intended to be. We all know the backstory. It all got blown up with the Fox trade last year, and that's obviously turning out to be a terrible trade. So the level of intensity and emotion and frustration, while some of it's understandable, it feels pretty disproportionate.
It's tough, and I won't speak for you, Sam. You're a real journalist, but I think Jason and I and several others in the media, I'm sure.
You're the breaking news guy. What are you talking about?
That's we'll get to that. That's going to be funny. I think we struggle, just being fully transparent. Jason and I worked with Doug. Doug's like an older brother to some of us, much older to me.
Yep.
And we want him to succeed, not just from being a Kings fan point of view, but also, remembering all he's done for this organization. If I was in a different market and I didn't know Doug personally, I feel like the question I would be asking is, can you as a rookie coach be calling out your team to the level he's calling them out, whether we agree with him or not? And I agree with him. Doesn't that usually end, especially when you have veterans, doesn't that usually end poorly?
Yes.
Yeah.
like full stop. What's unique though is that I don't know how much that part matters,
Mm-hmm.
because it's one thing when Mike Brown's, post game messaging was potentially getting under the skin of De'Aaron Fox and Demonis Sabonis and Malik Monk as they tried to build off of the playoff year they'd had before. Those were stakeholders, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
These are not the same sort of stakeholders, not even close. So I don't know. I mean, that matters in terms of just Doug's ability to not have every game look like it looked last night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if those guys just decide, like, dude, I'm done with this place, that matters. The part, and I'm a broken record on this, the part that gets me and that I think is ill advised is, the return to the Kings centric messaging in terms of the history of this organization, and and the whole thing about how Rick Adelman and Jerry Reynolds are the only coaches who can understand the pain of Kings fans. It's a clever way of saying that, like, like just all the other time, like all the other NBA people who didn't have Kings ties, who came through this organization, um they don't matter, they don't count. Well, guess what, like, a lot of them, like, their negative experiences in Sacramento, those are the things that then they took with them to the rest of the NBA, and that have damaged their reputation. And so that's where I always think it's a mistake. I've just never seen ever an organization that leans so heavily on an era that, while it was exciting and entertaining and promising, and yes, they're one of the best teams to never win the title. It's bonkers that they keep leaning on that 23 years later.
Talking with Sam Amick from The Athletic. So, Sam, in this, I don't even know what to call it, but interim time, that, because I think we're all of the belief that there will be some moves made by this organization, whether it's by necessity or by the desire that they seem to want to do. They have games, and they keep coming, every day, every other day, and this is game 12, and certainly this homestand was pretty rough to watch. How does Doug, how does the rest of the players kind of get through this next, I don't know, that's probably about 15, 20 games where, yeah, they want to compete, they want to win as much as they can, even if there's some limitations, but you can't keep having, 30-point losses where you're non-competing. How do they get through this bridge of time before kind of that next move?
Well, I mean, the stock answer, Jay, is that you got to hope. I mean, you do have a bunch of vets with really good career resumes, and it's hard to imagine them, even if they're out on the program or the plan that was set in place in training camp, and I don't know that to be the case, but even if that was the case, or eventually becomes the case, like, they are a bunch of professionals. I think, honestly, the one of the things that might be an issue right now is that, at minimum, when you've got a bunch of guys who can put the ball in the bucket, going into the year, I remember talking to Kings people who were like, well, we got 5, 6 guys who could give you 30 a night, and that sounds great in practice, but for one, like, defense first messaging is never probably a bad idea, but it's so much the focus that Doug is making right now that, I mean, honestly, if I was trying to make chicken soup out of chicken, what, I might just say, all right, guys, let's get cooking on the offensive side again, just so you can feel better about yourselves. Because the defense can't be much worse. I mean, you're not going to run the risk of losing much on that end. Because this approach, which admittedly, I mean, I was so skeptical going into the year, like, okay, so, like, Zach LaVine put up a good fight for a while defensively, just to use him as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, that's not who Zach is. It's not who DeMar is. It's not who Malik is. Dennis can defend when he's banged up right now. He's not fully healthy, but I don't know, maybe leaning into the strengths instead of trying to put a, round, what's the old saying, object
Lipstick
into
on
a
a
square hole.
Oh,
Sure, lipstick on.
I was gonna
No,
say,
you're just trying to
Lipstick on a square hole? What? Well, that is not the saying.
This is a family show, dude. Sam Amick of the
See,
Athletic.
this is why we were doing the coffee.
Yeah. Sam, so you broke all that news earlier this week about the. We talked earlier Tuesday, which you and I have laughed about off the air a little bit. That just really mostly what we've been saying. I say we, myself, Jason, you know, since largely summer that. This team is you look at the salary cap table, you look at what they're encumbered by the next 2 years, you look at the way this team was, or more to the point, wasn't set up. You look at Scott Perry's history with the New York Knicks and what he did, that Scott's effectively a wartime consigliere, and that this team is primed for a rebuild, and kind of, you know, changed the tone a little bit on Tuesday, and as you had laughed at, got picked up everywhere, which is always fun and exciting. But have you heard anything to the contrary? Are we all still kind of, are there any asterisks you want to put on the statement basically that the most likely path forward, it seems, is come December when the big contracts can be moved, if opportunity presents itself, Scott Perry's going to do what he can to save some money, to grow draft capital, to get young players if that's part of the deal, and we're really beginning what will be a 2, 3, who knows how long year rebuild process.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get into crystal ball territory.
Sure.
And yes, it takes two to tango. So it's just a matter of what sort of conversations do they end up having. And I'd probably say it's not even the way you framed it today, not on, not previously, but was a little more passive than I would make it. It's not a matter of like if something comes their way. I mean, they're going to be actively looking to change this roster. I can't completely let you get away without having a little fun with you on the reporting side of things because because
here we go.
No, it's just we've talked off air about how especially in the social media age, when you put something out there, like yes, there's angst that comes with, like making sure you get it right, getting the reaction from the people. And we like to say in the business that some people who are kind of hoity-toity, and not even pejorative wise, but as journalists is the capital J journalist. Like I think, you don't want to be put in that category. You're like a lowercase journalist with like, 9 size font.
In italics. Yeah. With quotes.
But yes, I think you are correct. And obviously you're tapped in with the Kings, like on your framing of this whole thing. It's always tricky to report on this stuff because those are human beings in the locker room.
Yep.
And so the danger for the organization is that it's like, they all kind of see this and then immediately go, oh, cool. So I'm just a pawn on the board who's waiting to get moved. But Scott Perry has been consistent for a long time now about the way he saw this situation. And it was always, I'm going to evaluate what we have. We had the context, unique context of his commentary on Zach LaVine via podcast from his media days. Like, you don't really need to kind of unremember that, if that makes sense. So it's ugly. And like all that being said, the team is awful. And so like, what do people think is going to happen? It's a matter of, okay, they invested in Keegan Murray. They clearly are invested in Nick Clifford. And from there, it's a little bit of a slippery slope. But yes, I think all that is spot on.
Of the roster that I think they would like to overturn, and we're mainly talking about veterans here, what kind of market is out there? Maybe not just for the players specifically, Sam, but just, it's an interesting start to the season for several teams. I was saying this last night around other media members. It's like as bad as this has been for the Kings, and it's been bad. I kind of looked at the West and went, oh my gosh, they're 1 out of the 10th spot. This was before the game last night. Not that I anticipate them competing for that, but the bottom part of the West has been really rough to begin the year. There is some clear separation already, and just in general, our teams at the top of the West or in the East, you think interested not in just Kings players, but just in movement when maybe we get to that kind of December time that opens up a few more avenues.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking the right question there, because again, just I mentioned it takes two to tango. The market is going to, I think, be an issue for them. If you look at a guy who was on the younger side and has been the most celebrated among the veterans, that would be Sabonis, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he has a robust market. I don't. And part of it is that what he does is, it you have to really decide that you're committing to a system that supports his skill set. And the Kings did that until this year. Now, of course, we're really ironically seeing why him on so many current NBA teams would be an issue and would not be nearly as impactful as it could be, is because you have to, you can't have this many playmakers. You can't have this many offensively minded players. You need Sabonis to be the hub and to, kind of partner with the point guard, almost Steph Curry, Draymond Green style, to play a certain type of way. And I don't think there's that many teams that are interested in doing that with him. So that's a starting point that could be challenging. DeRozan's a little bit different just because it's kind of, unofficially a expiring contract, and you might find one of those contending teams that needs another bucket getter. We've talked about Zach LaVine and how challenging his contract is. So I think it might be a tough road to hoe on that front.
If I want to play a fun game with you real quick, I'm going to give you not just my list of the four that you would handicap as likely to be moved or on that list, but also in order of what you think their perceived market would be. I would say I'm having a tough time flipping a coin between Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan as maybe the easier two to move, followed by Sabonis, and then LaVine as the tougher to move. Do you think I'm in the ballpark with the four that again, odds are would most likely be moved for contract and other reason, and then also ranking those as far as likely market based on salary and everything?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, remind me Malik's number, salary wise.
20.
I think he's around 20.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just on that question, and maybe for both of you, like, would you flip LaVine and Sabonis?
Meaning Sabonis tougher to move than LaVine?
Based on one more year, roughly the same salary, and kind of the paradigm that Sam just addressed.
I mean, it's a good question, Sam.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, I could be right. Again, disclaimer, I could be wrong. My understanding is that, I mean, listen, when Scott or any executive in his position took a job like this, you already know, by the way, we're speaking mostly hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
He is not. Like
Right.
he has spoken to his colleagues around the league to get a sense of what they think. And that is how you make an informed decision. Like, whatever you think of the Keegan Murray contract, the reason that they were comfortable doing that is because they learned, partly at least, is because they not only did they value him within their program, but they learned that he's got a lot of value around the league. And so as it relates to Sabonis, my understanding is, there's at least a few teams had raised their hand to say, yeah, he's somebody we'd want to talk about. I've said it on your show before, like, I don't have that sort of information about Zach.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
with that in mind, I would put Sabonis above Zach.
By the way, 18-8 this year, 20, a little over 20 next year, and then a player option for 21.5 for Malik Monk, Sam. So two guaranteed.
So I mean, if he's at his best and he's doing Malik Monk things, that's not awful. The 2 years is going to be problematic for a lot of teams, especially the ones who are gearing up to go, superstar shopping in 27. Just because in today's NBA, long money is not good money, and having a couple of years is going to make it trickier. But yeah, I think the list is pretty close.
To your point too, Jason, like and Sam, where I struggle with DeMar, it's between DeMar and Malik as far as market, because you have a proven scorer who's going to be in the low to mid 20s, and with DeMar, he's making 24.5 this year, and then 25.7 next year. But I'm almost positive I remember that as a partial guarantee.
No, yeah, that's not.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's a virtual expiring.
Gotcha.
And I forget the amount. It was
Very low.
kind of a handshake deal.
Yeah.
That he's done after this year.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
Jason.
I completely forgot my question. I had a good one too in the hopper.
You did?
It's gone.
Was it about the Kings?
It was.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I don't have a question. Let me think. Hold on. Yes, I do. Doug Christie. We talked about that earlier. And Jason, if you remember your question, just interrupt me.
Yeah,
Doug Christie, we talked about this earlier, and you already see some people, hey, it's Doug's a problem. Get rid of Doug, fire Doug, this and that, move Doug. I just want to talk about it in the abstract. Does logic dictate to you as well that Doug is either the lowest paid, as you reported, on his contract, or very close to the lowest paid coach in the NBA? On top of that, it's a 2-year deal with a team option for a third, I believe is what you had said, which matches up, by the way, with the salary levels and seeming plan, this 2-year plan to get out from underwater. So they're all kind of aligned. I can't sit here, nor can you, and guarantee Doug's got a 2-year no-cut deal, but at least this year, I would imagine he's pretty damn safe, because if for no other reason, it just wouldn't make any sense to – what the hell are you getting out of bringing somebody else in here that's going to – or Mike Woodson that's going to cost more money? Am I reading that right, or do you have a different read on Doug and his future?
I think you are,
Okay.
but again, this is just me reacting to the events of the past week. I think from a human level, and meaning the humans who, are responsible for deciding whether or not Doug stays or goes, like, it just feels a little bit like, man, everybody knew this was going to be hard.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it harder.
Yeah.
I'm just, again, that's just me. No one's saying that that's just me. It just, like, it's a little exhausting. Like, if you can't do this every night. And maybe that's just my own personality. I mean, I get annoyed when JJ Redick goes kind of emo and goes, kind of a little extra in game 16 or whatever. It's part of coaching. Intensity can inspire, but it's also a marathon. And so the only scenario where I would wonder if that dynamic changes at all is that, like you said, the contract makes it pretty easy to move on if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And, the advantage might just literally be like people's experience. If this trend continues, they keep losing. And if it's every single night, just telling everybody how, here's why you don't even deserve to be playing basketball in Sacramento. That's where I would recommend, like, find the little wins, find a way to, I know no coaches want to talk silver linings and moral victories. That's not what they do. But there's just a certain reality to the state of affairs here that he had nothing to do with from a roster standpoint. He's trying to do the best he can with this group. That kind of energy, I think, would be, wiser from a self-preservation standpoint. You mentioned Mike Woodson. I mean, around the league, when people talk about this topic, that is certainly the most obvious. It's just the age-old plan from teams where you have a veteran former head coach and one who's very close with the GM, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm not hearing any of that right now. It's
Same.
mostly just people saying that, we know Doug, we love Doug. He's a passionate guy, and he's frustrated. So it kind of is what it is.
Jason,
I remember.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
All right.
It circled back, but it was based on Sam's answer to the previous question. And I think you mentioned it last week about 2027 kind of being a magical NBA offseason summer, right? So Sam, and Gabe has kind of equated this to what the Kings are doing. Like, everything is kind of either mapped to end this year or in the next summer. What is it about 2027 that the league is kind of lining up for, and maybe the Kings too, seemingly to have some freedoms financially to attack that summer?
I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm not going to sell this very well, Jay. I mean, Giannis is the most obvious one, but I mean, the Kings are not going to be
aggregate it.
Sam
Aggregate
says Giannis
it.
will
There
be a
we
king.
go. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, like Dave reported, Nico Harrison's going to host the Kings.
Dude. Okay. Fair play. Thank you. Please
That
answer
was a joke, aggregators. That was a joke, aggregators. You freaking mental midgets.
Mental. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Joker is also up that summer. He has chosen not to sign his extension. It's actually fairly analogous to the De'Aaron Fox dynamic on the front end, meaning that financially, remember when he turned down that extension because it made no sense money wise
Yeah.
to take it. Now, what the Fox situation did kind of remind us is that things can change quickly because it went from, oh no, this is just for money reasons to, yeah, I think I might want out of here. Now, Joker is there's zero sign of that. But going into this year, I Nuggets people would get annoyed with me for writing about how Jokic was up in 27. My only point was like, listen, if you guys absolutely s the bed, so to speak, this season, like, and he's going to be in his 30s now, that much farther away from his last title, then I'm sorry, I'm not taking it off the table that he might look around. And so, but right now, I mean, my God, they're killing. He looks amazing. But technically speaking, Jokic is up that summer. The Giannis one is the bigger focus. Luka obviously just got locked in with the Lakers. Donovan Mitchell is up that summer. That's another one. Um, Ja Morant, which we probably should touch on at some point here. I think Ja's up that summer. Is that accurate, guys?
You're probably right. Let me look. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares? But yeah, you're probably right.
Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, you gotta relax, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah.
As we, well, let me ask you this: as we, where the hell are the Grizzlies? They should be. Oh, here we go. Ja Morant is. Yeah, he's got 2 years left after this one. All right, as we wrap up, let me ask you this. When it comes to Jokic or Giannis, just, all joking aside, but November 13th, 2025, are you ruling out the possibility of either coming to Sacramento?
Yes, you heard it here first.
That's Sam Amick of The Athletic.
They personally told me they don't like the paint job on the Tower Bridge.
The pin in the balloon of Kings fans.
Change that.
The OPG, dude, you got to say, seriously, you are more of the.
Is it OPG or Peachy?
It's peachy. It's just peachy.
Well, what the hell is OPG?
That was a baseball.
I don't know.
Is that like the cup of noodles thing?
I don't know, but you know what you just triggered, Dave, and
What?
I know we got to go.
Oh, that's
I
fine.
just during Halloween. I yelled about this, opossum. It's not an opossum. It's a possum. Like, why do we call it an opossum? The animal that.
I thought they were okay.
They're spelled that way, though,
Okay,
right?
first off, OPG are hockey cards.
Yeah.
See, look,
Okay,
OPG.
Yeah, but he's wearing a Peachy. That was a
Okay.
Peachy
This is the
folder.
Peachy-
folder,
the
like
Peachy-
from school.
I know. I'm just saying, Peachy sounds like a color. Well, I mean, it is.
No, it's PEE
CHEE. And then hold on here. Opossum. Okay, look. What's the difference between a possum and an opossum? While they have similar names, possums and opossums are distinct animals, and there's actually 7 different characteristics and differences between the two animals. Mainly, possums are native to Australia, New Zealand, and China, while opossums live in America and southern Canada.
I don't care. It's annoying.
Opossum. Opossum, Sam.
Sam.
Opossum,
we
OPG.
ran into one on Halloween and almost attacked us. This is why this topic came up.
My wife ran over
I just don't
one.
like vowels at the beginning of words. Even like my last name.
Wow,
but
he hates
it's okay.
George O'Leary. That's fine. Yes, it's Sam Amick. Well, thank you for everything. I don't know, whatever. And we'll see you next week. And send us a link. Send us a link to that sweatshirt. We need to get one.
Will do.
All right,
Thanks,
you
guys.
See you. Bye. Sam Amick. We're way late for a break. When we come back, 4 Down Territory. If you're a Niner fan, who are you rooting for this weekend? Rams or Seahawks? And 3 more downs after that.